Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. People call me Remy. So today I'm going to be talking about seromas and getting my drains removed and how they connect. I developed a seroma about 3 to 4 weeks post-op, a tummy tuck. But just a little backstory, I had lost over 100 pounds, had a paniculectomy or skin only tummy tuck, no muscle repair, where they removed the layer of skin on my abdomen. I then, fast forward till now, I had a seroma. How did I know that? We're gonna get there, we're gonna talk about it because it was a ghetto. So from the beginning, I got my drains removed after a week, only because I was so irritated by them. I'm like, yo, please get these out of me. Like, I cannot breathe. I cannot do anything. I cannot wear the clothes I want to wear. You couldn't do anything. I had them sticking out of my sides and they were annoying and they hurt. Whenever I took a shower, I would tug on it a little bit and then I would just get like a little bit of blood. Like, I hated the drains. And they weren't bad. Like, you didn't feel them inside of you. It was just annoying. So I had to go back to work after a week and a half. And I'm just like, hey, doc, I'm not draining anything. I got to go back to work and wear my work pants. What's up? And he's just like, all right, go ahead, come in. We'll go ahead and remove the drains. The drain removal actually was not painful. It was very painless. I thought it was going to be painful. My leg just cut off. Okay, sorry. This is very ghetto. So it was not painful at all. I have a very low pain tolerance, so I'm like, okay.
Deep breathe. You're gonna be ready for this. You got this.
And I went in the office. I actually took one of the pain medicines they gave me. He gave me like Percocets.
Molly Percocet. Chaser. Never chaser.
He gave me, I think it was Perks. No, it wasn't Perks. It was oxycodone. I don't know, but it was a pain medicine or whatever. I took that before I went in just to be ready. And then he's like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and remove your drains. I showed him my drain sheet. You get a sheet that you track your drainage on. I showed him that, and I really wasn't draining anything. So he's like, okay, we can go ahead and remove it. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, doctor, does it hurt? He's just like, no, it doesn't hurt. I'm like, you just saying that? He's like, no, it really doesn't hurt. I'm like, okay, all right. So he's like, all right, so he got all his stuff ready. He cut the stitch. I think that was the only part that was irritating. And then he told me to breathe in and then breathe out. But as I was breathing out, I had to keep like breathe it all the way out. But as I breathed out, he started pulling it out. So he's just like pulling. I didn't know it was that long. Like, it was all the way here. It felt like you were giving birth to an alien baby, like through your side. Like he's just pulling it out and you're breathing the whole time. Y'all, it was just hilarious. My mom was laughing and it didn't hurt. If anything, it just felt really weird. It's like a little wiggly thing going out of your body. So he took it all out and I'm like, okay, that wasn't bad. He's like, okay, time for the other side. I'm like, all right, breathe in and breathe out. Did the same thing. Yanked that John out. That was my drainage process. So I was fine for like a week, but then I started to notice like a little like pudge in the front area. It was like right here. I started noticing a little pudge. Y'all saw the waist, it hits. But I started noticing a little pudge and I'm just like, is this swelling? And then I watched a YouTube video, thank God for YouTube, and it was of seromas of girls that had built one, but theirs was huge, like their whole stomach would wave. And my whole stomach, it was just that little area, it's like a little pocket. So I had to do a test. I stood up straight, I removed my underwear and I just had to like tap it. So I know if you tap it, it had to wiggle and that was signs of liquid. So I stood up, did that, and it waved. And I'm like, all right. And then I pushed it. And when you push it, everything should move to the other side. So I pushed that area and everything moved over. I'm like, oh gosh, I done developed a seroma. I am that like 0.3% that had it and nobody else but me. Okay. I just had to be different. So I hit my surgeon up. I'm like, hey doc, like I think I got a seroma. And he's just like, okay, go ahead and come right in. I'm gonna pick you in. Like, you're awesome. I go in. He's like, yeah. So he did. He had like a pen or like a gun thingy that he could do a seroma test on. It was like a sonogram but for liquid. He was like, yeah. He was like, but thank God it's not a lot. He's like, the good thing is, it's not a lot, and we can drain it, and it doesn't come back. And I'm like, does it usually come back? He says yes. So it usually takes 2 to 3 drains for it to go away. I'm like, okay, how do you drain it? And then this man bring out a needle. The needle is like the the needles the women that are about to give birth take in their back. It's like this big. It's like this big. And it was like a little thick. And I'm just like, he's like, yeah, so I go ahead and stick it in, and then and then the tube like this, and tube is like that. It wasn't big, but the needle kind of scared me because I'm like, mind you, I couldn't feel anything there anyway. Still can't, but then I really couldn't feel anything. So he ended up numbing me. He got a little needle, got the lidocaine, put it in, numbed it, and then he stuck the needle in and it started to drain the fluid. So as he was draining it, the first time, I believe I did a tube and a half, which he said it wasn't a lot because he had a lady that did 10. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I didn't feel anything at all with that. If anything, I just felt a little pressure or like a tugging type of thing. It wasn't really bad at all. I'm like, okay. So then he patches it up and then I'm fine. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm going to see you again in about a week. So just keep an eye on it and then just come back within a week. And I'm like, okay. So I go home, wake up the next day. It's back. I'm like, what? I'm like, I thought it was going to take a week. And I text my surgeon. I'm like, eyes emoji. And he's like, okay, go ahead and come back in. He saw me that same day, but he drained it, but it was only about 75% of the tube, so it wasn't a lot. Maybe the leftover from the day before, who knows. But then I waited, like, went home, went back, everything was fine. And then I went to sleep, woke back up, looked for it, it wasn't there. I'm like, okay, thank God, it's gone. It's gone. Look, praise the Lord, hallelujah. 4 or 5 days later, it came back, but it was not a lot. It was very small. Before, it was like right here, and then within the next day, it was like right here. So it wasn't bad at all. And then, he was like, okay, you can just go ahead and come in on the day you're supposed to come in, which was about a week and a half later. Went in, he drained a little bit. It was only about like 1/4 of the container. It was not a lot. And then I believe I went about 4 times before the seroma was completely gone. But what I did change up was I stopped working out. No, actually I wasn't working out at the time. I stopped moving around a lot. I didn't do too much. I wore very comfortable pants and I was wearing my binder. I remember that. I did put my binder on the last time, but I made it super tight when I was about to go to sleep. And I noticed that was keeping the seroma from coming back. So my only recommendation is maybe wear your binder or your Spanx if you do develop one after. Don't wear it if it's there, wait until they drain it and then put it on so you're not moving the liquid around. A lot of people asked me if I got the lymph node massages. I did not, but I was scheduled for it. The only reason why I didn't do it is because I developed a seroma, and he told me there's no point of getting the massages if you have a seroma because all it does is it moves the liquid around to different areas, and you don't want to do that right now. Wait until the fluid is gone and then go back. I never went back because it was like $300. And I just paid a couple stacks for this. So I was like, I'm good. I'll do my own massages. And I looked up on YouTube how to do massages and I did my own massage. So that's how I made that work. The seroma never came back. I was good. I kept looking for it. Yeah, that is my seroma story and my drainage story, my drain removal. I believe that you should wait at least 2 weeks before getting your drains removed, and don't rush it because you don't want to keep going to your surgeon and having to get it drained. And then if you travel somewhere, you're not going to feel like driving back and forth to get rid of that fluid, to get it drained. I was just so fortunate and lucky and blessed that my surgeon was down the street. Like, this man is like 15 minutes, but I paid more than most people pay because I pay for quality. I mean, it's really up to you. Like, some people fly down to this girl told me, she was like, I went to Miami and I got a tummy tuck for $2,500. I'm just like, okay. Yes. So she said 2,000 or something. And she was just like, yeah, you crazy for paying that much for a surgery or for a tummy tuck. And I'm like, yeah, but if something happens, God forbid, I can't fly down to Miami, so I am very grateful for my surgeon too. So that's something to just keep in mind. If you want to get this surgery, keep in mind that God forbid something goes wrong, you gonna have time to fly back to Miami to go see that surgeon. I do know some people who fly to a place to get a surgery, but then they have a surgeon back home that they can, talk to. Not every surgeon will see you after someone else did your surgery. So just keep that in mind and make sure you have options. If you do go somewhere, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, because please, I like to save money, but fly, but make sure you have a backup back home that can hook you up just in case. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope y'all really enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all next time.